Yin Yoga. This is arguably one of my favorite styles of yoga to teach. I am a crazy person. I need to slow down. It can also, frankly, be a little bit more challenging mentally on you, given that there's more quiet, there's more reflective moments, and you're holding postures. I wanted to make a quick video though because there are some principles that you should know before you practice, just to be smart and safe in your own body. And so that's what I'll be sharing with you today. This is going to be a super quick video, and I recommend that anybody who is going to take a Yin Yoga class on YouTube or really anywhere online takes a moment to just go through this, because who doesn't like to be like 10% smarter or more educated, right? Okay. So the biggest question that I get first and foremost is, what is the difference between Yin Yoga and restorative yoga? There's a couple of styles of Yin Yoga. There's one that's actually more active. I am not familiar with that at all. The style of Yin Yoga that I'm talking about is the one that on the surface looks exactly like a restorative yoga class. On the internal and physical level, it feels completely different. So when you take a Yin Yoga class, you're actually looking to feel some mild and moderate sensation in the body. Emphasis on the word mild. I know we tend to feel like we're not being productive unless we stretch ourselves into oblivion, but I promise you that is not going to get you where you need to be. A restorative yoga class, on the other hand, you really don't want to feel any sensation at all. You want to be held up, you want to be supported. It is totally adult nap time. Now, sometimes the two do overlap. Some yin postures lend themselves to being a little bit more gentle. But regardless of all of that, there are 4 principles that you need to know to be able to practice yin safely. Principle number 1 is coming into a position and playing your edge. I will emphasize the word your edge, okay? It's gonna look different in every single body. One of my favorite things about the yin practice is that it really acknowledges variation in your skeleton. And so you probably can't rest your head on your knees. You probably can't fold yourself in half, and you really don't need to. There's no functional purpose to that. Does it look kind of cool? Absolutely, but we can leave that to the circus performers, okay? So when you find a posture, you want to come to a place where you're feeling very gentle sensation. So there is sensation there, but it's not painful, it's not tingling, numbness, or electrical sensations. Nobody needs any of that. That's a really good sign from your body that it's time to dial it back. And this practice is all about listening to what's going on in your individual body. So reel it in. Find your edge in every single posture, knowing that it might be different from day to day. Principle number 2 is to relax the target areas. So what I mean when I say that is each posture has a target area, whether it be the backs of the legs, the outer hip, maybe it's a shoulder release. And so that gets called at the beginning of each pose, at least in the way that I teach. And in order to target what you want to target here, which is not the muscles, it's actually your dense connective tissue, you need to relax all of the muscles in the area that you're trying to target. And we treat yin really differently because it does target something completely different than any other physical practice that you're doing. Either flow classes or weight training or even cardio really relies on and hits the muscles of the body. When you're taking yin, you want to let all of that go, to let gravity do the work, so your dense connective tissues can start to release. And that's the stuff, that's the substance that holds your muscles, your tissues, your bones all together. So not only are you literally being held together in a yin practice, you are metaphorically holding it together as well, as we like to have that mind-body connection. And so you actively relax, you actively let go, and then you get to number 3. Number 3 is staying relatively still. And so for the most part, poses are held anywhere between 1 to 5 minutes. it depends on the area of the body, how long the hold is going to be. So for example, the shoulders are not as tolerant of a longer held position as the hips are, where some of your densest connective tissue exists. And so you might hold a shoulder pose for a minute, while you might hold a hip opener for 5. And as much as you can, you want to stay still. Again, really let gravity take over. You're going with that literal and metaphorical letting go in a yin class, and see how it feels. If it stops feeling good, if you start feeling any of those sensations that I mentioned that are negative, that are really good signs from your physical body that you need to chill out a little bit, it's time to back off. And in that case, don't be still. Make your adjustments and do what you need to do to find your edge in the pose. So all of these connect back together. Number 4, coming out of each posture slowly. And so I always like to say, I want you to channel a sloth here and move as slowly as humanly possible out of every single posture. What happens when you hold these postures, you let go of that muscular engagement, you let gravity take over. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. Actually, I could do like a 20-minute lecture on fibroblasts, but I don't think anybody really wants that. But what happens is that your tissues are temporarily weakened from these holds. And so in order to stay safe in your body, in order to be very mindful with what you're doing, you're gonna wind out of each posture as slowly as you can. And then between postures, you'll typically find a resonance pose, as I like to call it, as my teachers like to call it, offered. All this does is gives the body some time to reset, let that tissue kind of relax back to where it came from, hopefully in a more organized way from your hold. And so those are the 4 principles you need to know to practice Yin Yoga safely. Very nice. I hope to see you in a Yin video soon. Thanks, guys.